This special episode of Tales of the Other Side may contain explicit language and spoilers for the first season. Listener discretion is advised. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a super special episode of the podcast. We're just kind of going to get right into it. It's been about 3-ish weeks since the last time we recorded, since we recorded our finale. And we're going to sit down and we're just going to kind of talk about the season as a whole, some memories, some things of that sort, and answer a couple of questions we got in response. But as always, I am joined by Mr. Nathan and Nick and Noah, and also Nathan's cat, which is running around being really cute on camera. So if any of those noises pick up, I think she's just going to be a voice cameo this time.
She's
Hell
gonna
yeah.
be a nuisance the whole time. You're just gonna hear the whole time. It's the cat doing things she shouldn't be doing.
Show her to the audience.
Yeah, can the audience get a look at her real quick?
Can we get a little cat cam?
Whoa.
Okay, so this is kind of just really unstructured. Didn't do any prep for this, but I wanted to open it up and just ask, do you guys have any, specific memories or highlights of the season? This is the first time that I think all of us have done a campaign beginning to end. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think Noah, you DM'd one. It wasn't like a fully finished one because we had to end it quickly, but it did end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it did end.
But this is our one of our first campaigns that we've seen start to finish. So kind of what was that process like for you guys of starting this campaign with a little bit of information we had and it slowly building up and playing that character and stuff? Just kind of talk me through highlights and memories and things of that sort, or if you have questions about things that happened or we need to clarify stuff. I mean, this is kind of a fun little debrief time before we do some Q&A, and I'll keep my yapping to a minimum.
I mean, honestly, it was great because I know I've played a lot of tabletop stuff before, especially with you guys, but I've never, other than that one particular instance that Noah ran, I've never finished one. So it always feel like, oh, I'm building this character, I'm gonna do all this stuff, we're gonna have so much fun doing it, and then it just kind of dies somewhere along the road. So honestly, it was really nice that it had a start and an end, and the story's wrapped up, and be like, yeah, I finished that, and it's done. We did that. I like that.
No, for sure. Having it be just a full story and completing it was so much fun, and getting super invested too was just one of my favorite things about it, because I love getting invested in these things, especially even when we're not recording it. You got to go hard.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
and have fun.
Yeah. And this campaign, this was several months that we were thinking about, discussing, and when you're doing something for that long, it's just, I feel like it lasts a lot longer. The memories it forms are just a lot stronger because it's like a chunk of our lives now that we spent doing this. It was over half a year.
Yeah, I think it was, so we went October to the end of April, I believe. I believe we did a mid-October was our first recording to come out, the second or the third or fourth week of October, and then I think our last episode just came out late April. So yeah, I mean, it took up a lot of time, and thinking about it, it really does feel like it, and not in a sort of bad way, but it feels like it lasted longer. It took up so much of this time, and for me, at least, in a good way. It was this really nice creative outlet that I wasn't really having up until we did this and getting to do it with you guys. And so then it became just kind of almost like we had, it's our friendship life, and then this life that we also were building with the campaign, or we talking about it and thinking about it and having those sort of relationships. And I don't know about you guys, but I kind of got to the point where I was like, okay, yeah, our friendship has gotten stronger by doing something like this and being people other than ourselves, but still having moments of getting to still be us and having that reflect through our characters.
Oh, 100%. I mean, all of us a lot of the time talk individually, but we sat down once every other week and we're like, we're gonna play this game together. So we spent like 4 hours together every
Mhm.
other week. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and we thought about it. We're like, oh, you know, so it was cool. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very like special in the way that even if one of us wasn't like there in the with our characters talking to somebody or having conversations, you're still like there on the edge of your seat, like, how is this gonna go? Um, Nobody's really like, man, I just wish it was my turn.
Mhm.
Um, and that's just props to all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you get a group of good people who are friends and play well together, even, our sessions would run, like you said, 4 hours, and that was honestly just a product of me over preparing every single session. Um, I usually only run, like, 2-hour D&D sessions, and so to go from 2 hours to 4 hours is a really big difference, and, the fact that we could sit down for 4 hours and it would go by so fast, and, it may not seem like it to outside people, but it is like a very mentally taxing thing to sit down and play another character for. It's like, you're acting for 4 hours.
Definitely.
None of us are,
Mhm.
professional actors, voice actors, or anything, but you're embodying this other character for 4 hours. And so, even if it's like a 4 hour session or a 6 hour session or just like a 2 hour session, you have this sort of exhaustion afterwards, but also pride. I remember like we would get done with sessions and have another like hour debrief after the fact of just like, oh, that was so cool. We did this and did that. And, staying up to do that sort of thing. And, whether it, was the first campaign one of us had played or, the 500th, we all really got invested in it. And, you know, it was special because we got to participate in this story together and then push it out into the world as well. It didn't exist just in our bubble, which I thought was cool. Like, we can play campaigns and stuff and keep it with just the four of us, but to give it out to other people and have them listen to it and participate in it and be getting feedback. I mean, for you guys, I mean, I can speak to that, but I've sat here and yapped for a minute. So, like, for you guys, what was it like being able to kind of push this art and improv out into the world and get that sort of feedback?
I mean, it's great, honestly. Like, I don't normally put a lot of like anything I make or do out there. Like, it's usually my own kind of stuff, but like being a part of it and then seeing what we're doing and like something that I'm a part of, like get that kind of traction is like it's pretty cool. That was really cool. Shout out to the guy from Italy. That was
Yeah,
awesome.
I've got
Yeah.
some of his
Matt,
questions queued up here for us to talk about tonight. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that was huge.
He was into it.
dude, he
Yeah,
was.
he's DMing us on an Instagram and talking about how, and this was just so flattering of him saying this big old message and like, you guys should have, hundreds of listens a week. And I can't believe, it's not bigger. And for us, I mean, we're all just using whatever audio equipment we have at home. I'm using free stuff from Pixabay and YouTube Studio, so I'm not paying for licensing, at least not yet. And just sitting for hours, writing us playing and then editing it and putting it out there, it's for all intents and purposes, like it's pretty low budget. And to get that kind of compliment, I think is also just a testament to, not to toot our own horn too much, but like I think it's a testament to us and how well we play together and build these characters together in this world together. Like we could have, the best sound effects and music, like, an original score written, but if we're not into it and if we're not like, really ready to give it our all, it's gonna fall flat. So I think that's really a high compliment, and I hope that you guys think about it and take that to heart because I most certainly use that as motivation of knowing that like we're doing something right here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it I kind of like in a way removed myself from it being like something that we post online.
Mhm.
I still super enjoyed it and having that, and it was great because I could just like listen back like three
Yeah.
or four times and then like, okay, I know what happened. So I'm ready for the next session. But just being able to like show my parents, show my friends, be like, hey, like these are the kind of games that I like to play.
Hmm.
Um, and just as like something I've never done before. Um, it was great. It was great, but I never like put so much pressure on myself to get like big numbers
Oh
because
yeah.
I'm we're just playing games with our friends. It's whether or not it was successful in quotation marks. It was successful because we did it start to finish.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like I feel like while we're recording the episodes, like we're not really thinking about too much about the fact that it's like going out there. We're just kind
Hmm.
of trying to tell the best story and like trying to just play how we want to play it. Um, I think like the best sort of metric for me was like that first episode. It just felt so fun and so enjoyable and like where's this gonna go and blah 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 and like literally every single episode at least one of us was saying most of the time it was all of us were saying like oh my gosh this was the best episode yet
Yeah.
like this is the
Yeah.
best this is like the best thing that we've done yet. I think the fact that we said that after every episode just goes to show like yeah we took a lot of time with this project but it like paid off. Like I think having these longer sessions having like these breaks in between sessions just like gave everything time to develop
To
and like
breathe.
Hmm.
yeah
For sure.
like and yeah I think it turned out well like not just because we have some amazing fans but because we did complete it from start to finish.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and this was like your first, technically first game
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
Nick.
Yeah,
And like, you know, playing like normally and it not being recorded is like very no pressure, but it being recorded is like there's like a little bit of pressure there, and you like knocked it out of the park
Oh
with
my gosh.
Archibald.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did awesome, dude.
Yeah, it was like so much fun watching you play this guy and the decisions that you made, and the like lines that you had. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna remember. Well, I've never seen anything more dead in my life. Always.
Well, I mean, seriously, I mean, it was amazing. We played one session of the Marvel Multiverse roleplay game, um, and you were so good, and you were like, "Yeah, I've never played before," and we're like, "Well, it's just for fun." And then, I had this idea of us to record this because, just really brief context, I just graduated with a video degree and screenwriting degree, and it's really hard to make low budget slash no budget films right now and have the time and the people to do that. So the way I wanted to do an art form was to make an audio podcast with my closest friends and get to tell a story. And so to have you involved in that story, even though, you might have been a little hesitant or a little nervous or thought, like, oh, I'm not good at this. Immediately, first episode, it was like, has this guy been playing RPGs his whole life? And then my mom even was like, there's no way this is the first time Nick has played. She was so impressed. She was like, there's no way. He has to have played as many times as Nathan and Noah. I'm like, nope, this is his first like full campaign. Like it was crazy. Like
It was
you
It
did
was
so
awesome.
well. I can't hype you up enough.
hype squad for Nick, right, dude.
right.
Biggest hype squad ever.
If Nick has 0 supporters, I'm dead. We're
Um,
all dead.
Yeah,
Um,
you guys are talking on like that stress of like us having to put that like separate ourselves from the fact that we're recording this. And I know like initially for me, like I was like, oh, we're recording this. Oh, okay. All right, let's see what happens. And then we did it. And I was like, this is so bad. This is pretty good. And it like consecutively each episode got better and better and better. And I was like,
Mhm.
I'm just gonna show up to it like, like it's any other game, and I'm just
Yes.
gonna do what I do. And we made it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was important to me, and that was something that I expressed when I had first pitched to you guys. Was like, this thing is going to sit here and it's going to record, and I want us to treat it like we're just playing D&D. Like if we would have all met in person, like back when we were in, high school, but we just put through a mic down, like just we're playing as normal, and this thing just happens to pick up the audio, and I'll do all like the post stuff. I think the only really real time that it became like, oh, we're doing a podcast was when we might have had like to repeat ourselves because we could tell the mic cut out or something. Like, we need that audio quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like we really came into it with, we're not playing to make a podcast. We're playing a game, we're making the story, and it just so happens that there's something in here recording us that we'll take and make into the audio. And I think that, obviously we don't have like a million billion followers, and that's not how we're taking success. But I think what has made us successful is the fact that we've just said we're playing the game, we're having a good time, and it will become a podcast. But that's not like that's not at the forefront. It's kind of almost like our post production process. Like I take the game we played that was already good, and I just cut it together, add music, add sound effects to try to just enhance it for everybody else.
I loved that it was edited to be more like a radio drama than a game.
Yeah. I think
and
that
a
was
lot of the sound effects were so fun.
Yeah.
I know originally for when we like posted our first episode, I think you picked like every creepypasta reading background music there was. And I was like, let's pick something else.
Yeah. I remember we were on a Discord call, and I was like, "Oh, listen to this intro; it's really good." And you're like, "Yeah, it is really good, but that music is bad." He's like, "You're like, this is the most basic like horror sounding intro music ever." And I was like, "Whatever." And listening, I was like, "Yeah, no, you're right. This is not good music." So I'm glad we went back and did that. And you guys were a part of the editing process. Like each episode, I would send to you guys for feedback. So it was a collaborative process from beginning to end, which is cool. I was obviously writing and DMing, but then we recorded it together, and then I would get feedback from you guys to edit it. I think that was really special, and it almost takes on a whole new life. It's like we played the game, and now we're listening to the radio drama version of it, and I like the way that we decided to edit it instead of being like full on actual play. I wanted it to be like a miniature movie that you're listening to, and things are going on. You hear the music, you hear the sound effects, and I don't know. I think that's really cool and has set us apart, and lended well to okay, we're just playing the game, and we're just happening to have the audio be recorded as well. Let's not add any extra pressure. Any extra pressure can come in post, but the game comes first. Like we're playing the game, that's always going to be like the highest priority.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys have any like highlights from the season of things that you keep like thinking about, or just kind of like a favorite moment or something stood out to you? I've got some questions we can get to in a little bit from some people that submitted stuff, but you know, just think about the season as a whole. We really went from being three strangers on a train that get on, late one night, early one morning, to okay, we have to stop a ancient god that's living in this earth from breaking free and destroying everything. It feels very there's a big progression. It's very Lovecraftian, very horror plot point. But for you guys, what anything kind of stood out to you guys, or you like keep going back to thinking about?
I would say for me, there's less of a particular scene. Like there are plenty of great scenes, but I think overall, like the dichotomy of all of our characters, like you have this being that is tempting us with stuff, and you have three characters. You have Adam, who is staunchly against it. You have Jonah, who's kind of split in the middle, and then you have Archibald, who is using the power. And I think that really like throughout all of the sessions really made it interesting because it's like who's going to do what here? Like it's not we're going to be the good guys every time because that's what we should do. It's like maybe Archibald's going to kill some people, kill his girlfriend to
To save her.
Yeah. And everyone's going to go, what are you talking about?
Everybody got to be like their own person, which was so much fun. And all of that ended up just happening very organically.
100%.
Like when I made Adam as a character, I wasn't never in my mind was I like, oh, he's not gonna want anything to do with any of this. It was just like, he saw what it was doing, and I was like, damn, Kirk is eating people. He doesn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
That was probably the scene that kind of made everything feel pretty real for me. Was like we're at the bar and we just like kind of went through this crazy thing, and everything's so mysterious and whatever, and then it's like, boom, John Griffith shows up, and everybody's like, what?
Huh?
And it's like, of course, it's not him. It can't be him. There's no way it can be him. And like his skin falls off, and he like scurries outside into the pouring rain. We like go out there and confront him, and it's somebody that Jonah knows. And we have to like fight him, and we kill him. We get the journal that ends up kind of persuading Archibald to get into everything more.
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably like, I don't know if it was my favorite, but it was definitely maybe the most meaningful part to me.
Yeah. I'm beginning to kind of like
Yeah.
A
kickstart
turning
everything that
point,
happened.
basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I kind of have a similar answer of like what kind of kickstarted, didn't kickstart, but like was a big like, oh my goodness, this is huge. And this was the episode that we did in person, which was super fun.
Yeah.
But in that episode, we like went to the library, and Matthew had like all of these printed handouts that were like super cool.
That was great.
Yes.
And it was just, it was a great from just a player experience, but also from the story. That's when we learned so much about like, we got 10 questions answered and 100 more spawned. Like there was all this history, these new
really
characters.
Felt like a mystery that we got to explore.
I remember us like putting all of the handouts like out on the table, and we're like, this goes here, this goes here, this date goes here. We were like, oh, so this
we like lined them all up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and for me as a DM, that was really rewarding, because the thing for me is, obviously I want to tell a good story, but the story is not going to be good if the characters aren't important and good as well. And your characters were all so well played and so well thought out, and so, you guys stuck to who that character was. And then I wanted to make it really engaging and really immersive for you guys, because we could have done surface level. I could have said, okay, this article basically says that, Mary Hill went missing when she was 19. Okay, this one says that, blah, blah, blah. But I wanted you guys to have these physical things. I remember we were at Nick's apartment, and you guys had almost all of the handouts that I had brought. If you had rolled well, you were going to get all of them. You got, I think, all but one or two. And so you have this whole pile of them, and you're like, laying on the table. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the bathroom. You guys just talk. You guys just figure this out. And when I get back, we'll just kind of see, like, where you are. And to, step away for that minute or two, and to come back and to, like, see you guys so invested in it. And I was like, okay, yeah, like, we're doing something special here. Like, it felt so nice. And obviously it's different because we got to do it in person versus virtually. But it was just like, it was really cool. And I was like, okay, yeah, like what I'm doing is working. What you guys are doing is working on their own levels, but then together, all of it together is working really, really well. And we're all invested in it.
No, for sure. And I mean, that library episode was like first time we meet Audrey.
Yeah.
And Jonah almost dies for the first time.
It become a recurring theme, for sure.
Oh my lord!
His fate was sealed.
Yeah, seriously.
It started of course, it starts the first episode we meet Audrey.
And that was such a tense moment too, because it's like you just started choking, and we're like,
huh?
What the fuck is going on?
Yeah. That was a good episode.
The story could have ended right there.
Yeah.
If we didn't save Jonah, it's kind of over.
That's it. I probably just would have played Audrey, honestly. I think that, like...
we did talk about that.
Yeah, I think, honestly, that was something that was cool, too. Like, when... Like, you see in, like, bigger podcasts and whatnot, like... We're nerds. I watch Critical Role. Like, a lot of times when their characters die, they're out of the show for a while. But, like, Adam dies, and you're, like, picking up Juno, and I'm finishing this out. And it's like, and you played her super well. and I thought that was cool.
Thank you. So what was your what was the part for you?
It's tough to choose because there were a lot of them. There wasn't a point where it like became real. It was all just really good all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. I mean, it can just be like a favorite moment that you have.
I think my favorite, like, when I rolled that critical fail for entering the other side and then rolled the critical success to understand what I was dealing with.
Oh, that was yeah. I mean, that was just par for the course at that point for your
I
roles.
I
Devastating.
I honestly that was the moment that I was like, Jonah's screwed. He is
Mm-hmm.
100% dead. Even though I thought he was gonna die like the previous 3 episodes, but somehow he survives. Even in Jonah's Thurgood's day off, he didn't really have much of a day off.
It was a very bad day.
It was
Yeah, it's
not
like
so.
Jonah Thurgood, the
Hey,
Horrible.
but you
terrible
know
no good,
what?
very bad day.
You crit on throwing a snowball at
I
Audrey.
crit on throwing a
True.
snowball at
It's true when it
Audrey.
matters.
I
Yeah.
did. I did.
I really think that that moment where you go to the other side and you critical fail, critical succeed, even though we didn't know at the time, I think that might have been the moment that kind of just like sealed Jonah's fate.
Oh yeah,
Like obviously, part of it, and we always say like, the dice tell the story, and like it's just luck what you roll, unless you got weighted dice. But it was really just one of those things where it's like, this is so. Which yeah, they're pointing at me right now because I rolled. Yeah, my mom was so mad. She texted me. She's like, "You killed Jonah." I said, "No, I didn't. My dice did."
You did. That's on
It
you.
was really important to
Oh,
me
you
that I
know,
distinguished that it
Interesting
was
way to
not
put
me.
it.
If I had it my way, nobody would have died. All right. But I think it's
I probably
interesting.
would
Like,
have saved everybody.
yeah, I mean, I would have just been like, no, I'm just nonchalant like that.
Hey, but you know what? The dice said what they said.
Hey, the
I
dice
can't do
wanted
anything about it.
a nat one on you. But I think that kind of sealed his fate, and it's interesting, like going back and editing and listening and being like, yeah, this is kind of just like the start of a unintentional downfall for Jonah.
Oh yeah.
But I think my favorite episode, and I think this is really the first time that it hit that we were like really onto something. You guys mentioned the in-person sessions, and so I want to go with what was after that, which was episode 6, Dream a Little Dream. I remember that being kind of like out of left field almost. I remember texting you guys like the day of or the night before. I'm like, hey, this upcoming episode is a little different than what we've been doing. Like, it's still going to paint the story the same. We're still playing the same game. This is going to be a little different. And I felt like that's when we really got into the meat of your guys' characters. And, we had that moment of surprise of the insecurity reflections and Jonah and Archibald both taking the hand, which really set so many things in motion from there.
Yeah.
And Adam being the one to deny the hand and saying, like, absolutely no at the end. And Jonah being tempted with knowing that his father was actually his uncle, and his uncle father was alive somewhere. That was when we kind of started to see like the one is not just this ethereal being; he's this physical thing that's trying to tempt you and trying to get you on his
Yeah.
side. And I remember we ended that episode, and you guys were just like, "Yeah, that was different, but that was really good." Like it didn't feel out of left field. And that felt good for me knowing that like even though I wanted to try something different and kind of have like a bottle episode, dream episode, like it still lended so well to the plot, and your guys' characters had so much good development in that episode. I think that might still be one of my favorites.
To jump off that, I think that episode in particular, like I said earlier, there wasn't a particular episode or scene that was like, oh yeah, this is what locked me in. But like, I think by that point, I was like, damn, this is this good, this many episodes in, like consecutively, like shit. Okay. But that episode put a lot in motion, and it was totally like really different. It set a different tone for the series. I think it kind of like it was crime noir with some supernatural on top, and then it sort of
Right.
shifted more towards the supernatural in that episode. And I mean, I'm for either one, and I think they both were great. But it set a lot up, and I thought it was really good.
I think the character development in that episode was definitely insane. Like I feel like for me, having not really played these kinds of games before, it was really a moment of like I can choose I can like have a lot of agency over how my character responds to things, and
Mhm.
if I choose in such a way that like feels satisfying and in line with the character, then it can create like a like really awesome moment, like really satisfying experience of like this character. I believe that they did this, and still it was like a developmental moment for them. Yeah, I mean, it did kind of like, at least for me, really made me realize that. And then in the future episodes, try to like find moments where I can convey more about my character, or like try to do things that feel in line with this character I'm trying to build.
I feel like that episode of you guys taking the hand, like the season and the story and the characters are not the same if you don't take the hand. Like Archibald, his character, his fate would be so much different if you
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have done that, And I think it's really
Mm-hmm.
interesting. And like you said, like I think that's what's so cool about tabletop roleplay games and creating characters like this is you're them. You get to decide, yeah, Archibald would do this. Archibald wouldn't do this. And, reap the benefits or the consequences of it just depending on, what you say. I think that's just it's really unique.
And really, like, to piggyback off of that, I was glad that Adam got to leave first so that he didn't see what you guys picked,
Right.
which led to a lot of kind of interpersonal conflicts between us at certain points. And it being like kind of the funny double-edged sword of it, where it's like me, Noah, I'm like, yes, please do whatever you want, and then I have to be Adam, who's like, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you guys did so well of differentiating that too. Like me, Noah, please do it. But Adam, this character I've been building, like, is not for it. But and also like you knew what they chose. Like Noah knew what they chose because we were all in the same call together when it happened. But then you were able to take that and pretend like you didn't and have these arguments that felt so real. And like I think that's just a testament to how well you guys got into these characters and how much you cared about the characters and the story and just like having fun playing because there was that episode where you guys got in the fight by the farmhouse and it was like,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you know what they chose, but then your character has this moment of like, we don't trust each other right now. We're not on the same page. And I think that was another moment that stood out to me because it felt real. And I know that we all had like a conversation about it afterwards. Like, I'm not actually upset with you in real life, but like, because we're friends and because our, some of us comes through our character, like, I feel like, you and I just had a real fight with each other.
Yeah.
I definitely remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. That very vivid scene.
Yeah. That episode 2, I think, was the same episode where, which I also wanted to bring up, was where Adam got the 2 letters, one of them being Juno is
Yes.
coming to Cedar
Yes.
Falls, and then this kid um is now a part of the cult that he's been,
Mm-hmm.
he kind of like took under his wing in a way. And that whole like reading those letters, my face immediately dropped.
Yep, I remember that.
Like IRL, I was destroyed emotionally. I had to like take a day and just lay in bed,
Mm-hmm.
just in real life, because it was so heavy. Like we were saying, arguing with each other as our characters, it was just like, damn, my friends are ganging up on me right now. But it felt so good to have those moments.
It seems so natural too. Like I'm like, yeah, I'm watching real people, and I think there's another thing that's so nice about the Call of Cthulhu system is that you're not playing a superhero. You're not playing someone with magic powers or turn into animals or super strong. Like you are a dude. You are just some Joe Schmo in the 1920s who just happens to get wrapped up in this. It always felt like that. You guys are having to be people and making human decisions of like, I only got 10 HP. If I do this thing, I'm gonna get really hurt. Or like this thing, looks dangerous. Or some most of the time in Jonah's case, I've got one hit point left. Like, I've got to be really mindful of this. It's not like, D&D where, you can just take a short rest or a long rest or hit a healing potion. You have to be really cognizant of that and be a person. And I think that's really interesting too, is just like you guys played characters that felt so real. And I love getting attached to like fictional characters. I think that's fun, to really get like lost in that world. And for the last, since October, it really did feel like Adam and Archibald and Jonah were these real people in my life that I knew and was like getting these experiences with. I mean, it was insane, the just like level of depth and realism you guys brought to these characters.
I think that's like props to all of us. I mean, and props to you too, Matthew, because like we wouldn't be able to do any of what we managed to do without having a good world to play it in.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
if you didn't like respond to what our characters did, like
Mhm.
If our actions didn't have consequences.
right, it wouldn't mean
Yeah.
anything.
Like there were the 3 characters we played, plus Juno, but every other character was Matthew, and I feel like there were so many interactions with characters that were not just us that felt
Mhm.
like really cool. Obviously, like Henry, like even just talking with Howard and like,
Mhm.
I mean,
That first scene with Henry.
Yeah, I mean Henry
That
was
stuck out with me too.
Oh
was
yeah.
so
And
yeah.
the first time we meet Warren Proctor
Ooh.
was all of us were like, this guy has said 3 words and we hate him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was so scared you were gonna like pull up to my house with like a bat and be like, "Get outside." And that was hard too because, he's still just a person at the end of the day, despite the fact that he had like these magical things granted to him. And I wanted him to be more of a presence for a while before you guys met him. Because the moment you meet him and he's like a person, it takes away a little bit from this kind of like mystery of him. And it's like, okay, now we got to figure out how to kill him. And then I also was basically also stalling a little bit. I mean, just like peek behind the curtain, stalling a little bit to figure out how to play this guy where he's a cult leader, he's got power, people are following him either because he's charismatic or because they're kind of brainwashed. And how does he interact with you guys where I'm not just being a total dick the whole time? Maybe like 75% of the time, and maybe 25% of the time he makes a little bit of sense. You know what I mean? Like it was weird to find that balance of playing a villain, especially after playing people that for the most part are like good guys or are pretty neutral, or they just kind of got mixed up in the cult, and so they have different personalities and stuff. And so when I got that response of like, this guy has said 3 words and I want to shoot his head off, I was like, all right, I'm glad I introduced him when I did, and I'm glad I'm playing him the way I am because it's working.
It worked. Seriously.
I mean, I hated myself after the fact. I was like, I hate this guy. I was like, why am I playing this? He's like a total tool.
Dude,
I
I hated him, but I loved at the same time I loved whenever he showed
Yeah.
up.
Hated him. I loved him.
Yeah, love to hate him.
It was
Yeah,
so
yeah.
satisfying every interaction with him.
Dude, his build up was so long too, because like yeah, he's there and it from our perspective it's over, at the beginning of the series, he's omnipresent there, but you teased
Right.
him
Yeah.
with the pamphlets that you gave, or like the handouts that you gave us. Like
Right.
he's in there and we're like, who's Warren?
I thought he was a good guy
Oh,
at first.
Okay, it was a random name.
Right. Which was kind of what I was hoping. I was
Same.
kind of trying to like, give you this push and pull. And I mean, he's present from the first episode. I mean, in that explosion, the silhouette you see of this person with glasses is him.
It's him.
And
yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
actually meet him until episode 10. And we only did 15 episodes.
Jeez.
He's
Oh,
only
wow.
in like the last
Jeez.
third of this season.
Uh,
But looking back on it, like I feel his presence the whole time, even though he's not physically
Mhm.
there. And I think that also really lent to the story of like
Oh,
there is
yeah.
this guy that is somewhere out there that is screwing us over and that is
Yeah.
working behind the scenes. And like, are we going to meet him? What's going to happen if we do meet him? And then you did, and Adam, being the badass he is, shoots him, and then it doesn't do anything. And it's like, okay, what do we do now?
Uh-oh.
Literally.
Yeah. And then also, like, eventually being like, oh, we have to go back. Because he's like planning something. And if he's planning something, then, well, we gotta know what it is. Even if we are going into the belly of the beast, at least we have each other and we'll be able to get out of here. And then Archibald doesn't show up, and it's like, uh-oh, it's just me and Jonah right now. And then he kills my wife.
Yeah.
Awesome. Fucking cool ass moment. Absolutely cool ass moment. And that whole chase, us
Yeah.
like fighting through the chapel, and the secret door that we were told about earlier, going through there, fighting the zombies and the offspring, and then the carnage in the bar that we had like that part of it had been teased
Oh,
so
yeah.
early, episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
Just that stone door, and then opening it up, and it kills everybody.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, just the way you described that visual, too. Like, we had just somehow barely
Yeah.
escaped by the skin of our teeth, escaped that nightmare scenario. And we're like, we gotta find Archibald, and we gotta find Audrey and Bethany. And you're like, yeah,
Yeah,
you
a
hear
dozen
awful
people
things underneath
die.
the
Yeah.
You like
place.
roll, and it's like, yeah, a
It's
dozen.
like,
A
oh,
dozen. So we've been talking a lot about your guys' characters, and one of the questions that I wanted to get to from Dave was the process of coming up with your characters. And he asks if there's any inspirations, and if you guys had any ideas or where you got your ideas that led you to creating your specific characters.
I wouldn't say for me, I wouldn't say there was like a particular idea that came about. I know whenever I create a character for really anything, like Noah, you're usually my go-to guy. Like
Oh
we
yeah,
bounce ideas
yeah.
back to one another pretty well. And I remember I was like, I don't know what to play, and I like looked through the classes. So like, investigative journalist sounds pretty cool. That sounds pretty awesome.
Well, I was walking out of work, and you had called me, and I was like, "What character are you playing?"
Yeah,
And I think the idea that you had was investigative journalist, and or like a guy who served in World War One.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I wanted it to be like he now as like a
Right.
reporter
Yeah.
is looking for like the supernatural.
And
Like
coming with a name too, I was like, um, well, my character's name is gonna be Adam, and that's very like, biblical, and there's kind of deeper meaning behind that, and I'll get into that when it's my
Yeah,
turn.
please do.
But I was like, why don't you do something similar, like Jonah?
yeah, we came up with Jonah, and I was like, that's a cool ass name,
Yeah.
Jonah Thurgood. Ooh, I like that. Rolled with it. There we go.
I don't know if I had like any specific inspiration. I kind of was a similar thing to Nathan, where I was looking through the classes and like I'd only ever made like I'd never really made a character before. Obviously, I played like Mysterio in our little Marvel campaign,
Hmm.
like one off.
Yeah.
But trying to make a character, I was like kind of struggling. I was looking through the classes. I saw Professor, and I was like, okay, this seems kind of interesting. Like maybe of the classes I know like a little bit about this. I feel like it might not be like too difficult for me to portray. So I was basing it off of that, and then the name, genuinely, I just thought it sounded cool.
It does.
There's no,
It fit
there's
so
no.
well.
It does sound cool. It does
I mean,
sound
that's
very
That's
cool.
like all of it.
And then anthropology I did choose because of this campaign, because I thought it would be like it's like the study of people, right? And like
Mhm.
what they do, how they act. I thought that would be interesting if he had some knowledge there based on what was about to transpire. It could be pretty cool.
For Adam, me and Matthew worked on a short film
Mhm.
for his classes that was going to be shown at a film festival and everything. And even prior to that, he was working on a like anthology of short horror stories set in this world. And we had like he would write a bunch and then send it to me, and I would read through it and go like, yeah, this is really good, this is really good, this is really good. Here's a couple of small things to change, whatever. And the introduction to it is from the psychologist named Edgar Whitlock. He like was getting all these stories from his patients that were going crazy, and he like compiled them into these short horror stories. And then it comes around to Matthew calls me and he's like, I need to write a script for it's like gonna become a short film. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. And I was like, take this idea that you have for your short stories, this guy, and maybe he's got like a daughter and he goes missing, and that just spiraled into a fully fledged short film, which was super awesome. And then fast forward to we're doing this Call of Cthulhu game, and I'm like, why don't I play like the originator of, like, maybe there's like a bloodline of Whitlocks that have dealt with all of these occult Cthulhu like things, and because he's like the first one, I'll like Adam, boom, done. Awesome name. It works. It's like kind of tongue in cheek a little bit. And then kind of similarly, I was like, what would be something helpful that we could actually like use in our investigation? And I saw archaeologist. I was like, hell yeah, he's a fucking archaeologist. Yeah, I mean, a lot of context, but that really was just like the whole events that led up to making Adam as a character.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that also helped to inform kinda how you played him too, which I think is helpful, you kinda have, like, a little bit of a guide of, like, from the beginning, even if he's not, like, fully fleshed out, like, this is exactly how he's gonna be, you have this idea of his future and sort of where he is now and how that's gonna help inform how you end up playing him down the line.
They're not like super wealthy. He's got a lot of these responsibilities that keep him away from home so that he can, you know, keep his home together. And that kind of being like the curse in a way is
Yeah.
um, fathers that just aren't there.
Mhm.
And it being like sort of this important, well, I'm stopping the world from ending, so you know, maybe that's more important. But like with the short film and everything, it was about, you know, Edgar Whitlock's daughter. Her dad's gone missing. Um, like he's been gone for a long time, and she like tries to discover where he's gone, and that leads to a whole thing. It's awesome.
Like, speaking of the genesis of kinda where that character came from and that background, Dave and Amy and Caitlin all asked, kinda where the inspiration of like the story came from, and it really did start back with the short stories that I was writing. I had just started over the summer. I got really into reading Lovecraft again, and I was playing Bloodborne, and just consuming horror media. And I love to write, and I was just like I had time to kill, and I was like, why don't I just start writing these stories? And so actually, the name, the mother, and the description of her comes straight from the first story that I wrote called The Mother. And what really kind of got me wanting to do a full-on campaign was I had this idea for just like I wanted to do like a D&D one shot around October, and I just watched Over the Garden Wall again, and I was like, it would be fun to do like a spooky light like little one shot where you go to this other dimension, and then you got pumpkin head creatures, and they might spew fire, these lantern people and stuff like that. And that's where the idea other side came from, was like it's kind of this barrier that separates you from this sort of mystical Halloween land. But then I realized, like, I think that there's something more there. And I was walking around this like harvest festival thing with my family, and I just ended up texting the three of these guys, and I was like, "You guys want to play Call of Cthulhu and maybe make it a podcast?" And less than 2 weeks later, we recorded our first session. I think a lot of the inspiration does come from like the stuff that I had written, stuff that I consume. And I talked about how the offspring is kind of a combination of like the xenomorph from Alien and the gods from Bloodborne and stuff. And obviously Lovecraft stories are a lot about like the inevitability of, human demise when we seek knowledge. And I think that was important when we were doing stuff, is I cared about these characters a lot, but I wanted to remind myself, like, there has to be consequences to things that are happening. And we do see that happen. We do see what happens to Adam and what happens to Jonah and Archibald, even though the it may not be death as the punishment for seeking this knowledge, but there's something else that happens. And Archibald may not necessarily die, but he gives it this power, and then he loses a part of himself, and he loses his friends and stuff like that. And so, I think it was really just kind of like a natural stepping stone progression of, here's these ideas we have, here's where we kind of want to go. Let's just go for it. And then all the pop culture stuff that just accumulates in my brain, and I sit there and I daydream about stuff. Was like, this is the perfect medium for us to go through and just put that stuff out there.
For sure, man.
More questions. I'll just fire these off really quick. Was it difficult to keep all the voices of the extra characters straight? Yes, and so I deliberately had fewer NPCs that actually were interacted with, so that way I didn't confuse myself. And then I ended up just kind of reusing like, I make my voice a little deeper, I make my voice a little higher. But for like Howard, his voice was like very deep, and for Henry, he had, I stuck my finger in my cheek when I talked with him to, give that sort of lisp. And Vazat's
Yeah.
rule was just me doing a really shitty Nosferatu impression. Or
It was
Warren
good.
was just
Yeah.
me kind of just talking in a way that I was like, if this kind of egotistical person talked to me like this, I'm gonna get really annoyed listening to him talking like this. And I was like, well, let's just use that. But yeah, there were a couple times, and obviously I cut it out to make it more of an immersive podcast where I was like, wait, hold on, what is this voice that I'm doing? This is not what I did the last time we played. And then did you have in mind how the whole thing would play out, or did it change as the weeks went by? I had like big plot points in mind, kind of like milestones I wanted us to hit. Like I wanted you guys to have an interaction with someone who ate people, and someone who did XYZ, and meet Audrey and meet Warren, and have this thing that happens on the other side. But what kind of connected those 5 or 6 plot points I had in mind was the decisions of the players. And we talked about you guys having that autonomy of your characters and making those decisions, and that really helped to inform me like what was going to happen next. Even though some parts might have been a little more like, okay, I'm steering you in this direction for the sake of like this is what the plot should do.
It was like the first third of the podcast was, okay, where are you guys going? And then we would like discuss and then tell you where we're going. And then it got to a certain point where we had done so much where it's like, oh, it's no longer about where we want to go. We have to just deal with all of the consequences of everything that's coming at us now. We stuck our nose too far down the rabbit hole, and there are creatures coming up to pull us deeper.
Yeah, I honestly think that was one of the really cool things about like doing it the way we did it, especially in the
Mhm.
beginning, because we did decide where to go. And like, yeah, you would think in an RPG game, like, yeah, the player has agency, but a lot of times like the DM
Yeah.
doesn't always do that. But we literally sat there and
we
talked. We were like, I want to go to like you gave us a map, and you were like, we looked at the map and we were like, okay, we have this little bit of information. We want to go to the schoolhouse and learn about the radio. We need to go to the library because we'll probably get information there. Like, and we kind of just like planned, okay, we're gonna go here and then we're gonna go here, and that was our episode. Like you said, Noah, like I think one of the last ones that was like that was like the farmhouse and the old lumber mill, and then right after that, it pretty much turned into, okay, we have a lot to deal with. We have to go to these spots. Like we can't just go
We
anywhere.
found
We
all the
have to deal
clues.
with this now.
Now it's like the real deal.
And I think that us talking about it, like I remember specifically, we finished the in-person sessions for 4 and 5, and then I said, okay, we have a couple weeks till our next session. You guys let me know where you want to go and what kind of things you want to do in the meantime, because I like to prepare, and one, because it's just how my brain works. Two, because I want it to be the most enjoyable for you guys. And if I'm sitting here like for like 10 minutes trying to figure out stuff, it really breaks immersion. And that's big for me. It's like I want to keep us immersed. Like we talked about earlier, it is a very like mentally strenuous process, and we're sitting for multiple hours. And I want to make sure that we've got a good flow. We're not just like, okay, we got to wait for the DM to figure out what's going on. But also, I wanted to make sure we got to like these big plot point moments, these big, like they call it, like in games, like set pieces. Like I tried to help steer us to those sorts of things. And if we might not have gotten there in a way that I originally thought, I was like, how can we go back and maybe reshape it so you guys still get that? And even some of the items, like the monster detector thing, was in the Preston household, but you guys didn't explore the room that it was in. And so then I took that, just kind of gave it a different origin and put it in chapel. And I'm like, that makes so much more sense here. And a lot of the things that happened was like, you guys explored what you wanted to do, said what you wanted to say. And if we didn't get to something that I had done, it ended up going in a different place and becoming so much better. And I think that's also really cool. Like I can have a plan and you guys can do something and then it becomes so much better.
Yeah. That was a fun thing about specifically about, us playing Call of Cthulhu rather than Dungeons and Dragons. Because like we're in the Preston. If this was D&D and we were in the Preston house, it'd be like, okay, I'm gonna open every door. I'm gonna look through everything, and screw whoever's house this is. I don't care, you
Blue
know.
Goblin time.
But embodying regular people, it's like, well, no, we're not gonna snoop through their house. Like, we're here to talk to Henry, we're here to talk to Loretta, and that's it.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot. Like, I don't know exactly how it is for D&D, but at least for Call of Cthulhu and like the way we played it, just being in the same town the whole time, and like all the buildings are the same, like the people are the same. Like, yeah, we're not just gonna go like ransack a place, be like, oh, we're never gonna be back here again. Let's just take what we can get and like move on. It's like progression in this story is more uncovering the mystery. It's not like moving to a different location and like powering up. It's like, no, we're in this town. There are people here. There are like real lives and stuff is happening. We need to treat it like that.
Yeah, I like that it was like, no, we're people, and if we go and rob whoever, if we go take Milton Blakely's stuff, he's gonna send the cult after us, or like he's gonna shoot us.
Yeah.
Like, if we start rummaging
Yeah.
around and do that sort of stuff, like there's gonna be consequences. Like
And we met
your people.
Henry. We met Henry for the first time in episode 2, and immediately in my mind I'm like, something's going on. This guy's a little weird. I don't know if I can fully trust him. And then that kind of sets the tone for, we need to be on our toes and we can't be like acting foolish.
Oh yeah. I like right in episode 2, Jonah knew who people were in the town. He'd interacted with them, but like I think that was a cool thing with Jonah, was like he knew people but did not realize what was going on. And like we get to a certain point with like Henry and whatnot. Granted, Jonah didn't see that. But like as a player, I'm like, how do I make this work? Like Jonah knows all these people and all of this bad stuff is going on in town and he didn't know about it. And we're there to uncover all that. And it made it, man, you hit me with so many interesting things playing Jonah, because he already like lived
Well,
there.
that was big for me, is like you lived there, and that was what really cool about your character, is like I could send you stuff and be like, hey, you know this thing. You know the password to get into the speakeasy because you've been there. Or like these people.
I loved that.
Or like, hey, you're meeting Amos,
I
his
loved
wife,
that.
Susan. And you've had dinner with them before. Or hey, there's these people in this town, and if you're close with any of them, or any of them you might be sweet with, like it might be Audrey. And so to be able to see that kind of stuff and then seeing how you play with that in the world was like really, really cool, because you had a man on the inside, but also you didn't know everything. I mean, you didn't know what was going on all the time.
Dude, and I think I know we're getting back into a character thing here, but I feel like that was a challenge for me playing Jonah. Like I had never like I've played Call of Cthulhu like one other time and it was a one shot. So like going back to the whole D&D thing, like I'm used to playing a character, leveling up, beating the bad guy kind of thing. With Call of Cthulhu, you have to like actually think about what you're doing. And I know right in episode 1, we're both like all of us are kind of like, how do we play these characters? I had a camera, man. That's all I had. Like I was the dude that ran away and took a picture of the monster while the rest of them fought the monster. I was like, how am I gonna play this dude? And I think like everything that you set up and the decisions you gave us like gave more credence to all of our characters, like just not in how we played them, but like just the devices you gave us, like plot devices or like actual things, like made our characters way more than they.
It's so fun having the context to, especially Jonah's character, where like we first know that he wants to photograph the supernatural, but it's like he wants to because his uncle dad appeared to him as a ghost.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it turned out to be a little bit more than just that, but him, the like scene going, oh, these people are trying to break into the luggage compartment. They must be ruffians. I'm a reporter. I can be like, I'm morally obligated to stop you from doing this. Um, and then
Oh,
as
by
That's
little
bad.
soon
law.
Stop doing
as
that.
something supernatural shows up, it's not like, oh my God, look at this monster, we have to kill it. It's, this is what I've been waiting for. Click. I'm
Mhm.
out.
It made sense for the character. It wasn't, we teased you out of character, like, oh, you're just gonna run away, but like that was what you
Yeah.
would do. I mean, you've been waiting your
Oh
whole
yeah.
life
Oh
to
yeah.
get physical proof of,
Yeah.
you know,
I-
these creatures, and you got it. And it's like, I'm getting this, and then I'm making sure my ass is safe.
yeah. I was like, if these guys die, at least there's a story to tell.
Yeah, and you don't know them yet. Like, I thought that was also good. Like, you don't have any reason to defend these guys yet, and then you trauma bond, and it's, you wake
Yeah.
up a couple days later in beds in the inn,
Holding hands.
holding hands. You're all in one bed. It's one big bed. It's
One big
mega
bed.
bed. So I did promise that I would share which episodes I had rolled successes and failures to give Henry, see if he was going to go to the light side or the dark side. Episodes 7, 8, he got advantage because that was after he had had a good conversation with Adam again. He succeeded both of those. He succeeded 12 and 14, and then like the day that I started writing 15 was the last success, which broke the tie because he failed on 9, 10, 11, and 13. So it really came down to it right there at the end, and I thought that was cool.
I don't. I could be wrong in saying this, but I kind of vaguely remember you saying you had more for Loretta Preston. Like we just didn't interact with her a lot. Was there like more you had for her other than like her just going to the other side?
When you'd found her with the hands out of her chest and her head turned back and stuff, having investigated that, that would have been the first clue that that wasn't actually a Retta, and it was like a skin suit around a creature. And so that's why Henry was saying like, I didn't do this, I didn't do this, like I didn't kill her. She's gone. Was because that wasn't actually her. It was like a replica essentially.
Which is so fun.
And like
Yeah.
he was
Okay.
trying to
It's a
stop
cool
it.
mechanic.
He thought that he was
Yeah.
saving her, and then he realized what happened. He knew it wasn't his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just one of those things where like, if we would have gone and talked about it, you would gotten there, but at the same time, it's still kind of a mystery. And so that was another cool thing that I was like, I tried to write some stuff where if you go and investigate this thing, you get an answer, but there's still a mystery around it. And if you don't investigate it, but you see it, there's still a mystery around it. Either way, you guys are still, getting stuff that you can still investigate and come back to later. And I loved when Noah, you were like, I re-listened to episode 1, and then and then we talked to Henry in episode 2, and I realized that Eleanor on the train was like talking about the fight that Henry had with John. And that's what he confirmed in the second episode. Like I tried to leave a little bit of stuff like little breadcrumbs of like, oh yeah, these things come back, and you guys obviously picked up on the clinging horror that was found in the lumber yard that came back later and stuff like that. So I thought it was cool, regardless of whether you guys really went like and explored something or didn't explore something, there were still mysteries and things that would tie back to make it feel, full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Learning that does make it even more tragic that, because we didn't explore what happened to Loretta
Mm-hmm.
so fully, like in our minds, in my mind at least, it was, oh, Henry's gone. He killed his mom.
Yeah.
You know, I failed. Damn, that
Dang,
sucks.
that
And that's
sucks.
the last conversation
Yeah.
Adam like has with Henry.
Mm-hmm.
And it like kind of was a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And not something
Mhm.
that you can really like explain. Because of course he's like, oh, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, I didn't do it. And Adam's like, yeah, man, sure you didn't.
Right. Well, that was also important. Like,
Yeah.
kid's under duress, and he's messed up, and he's a part of this cult now. Like, you're not gonna believe
Right.
him, and even if he does tell the truth, like, you don't have a reason to believe him now.
I mean, thankfully we do, Henry, we do realize that he wins the battle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad that he won.
Me too. Me too.
I think it really like just I know it's all based on rolls, but man, it's so juicy
Yeah.
because Adam dies, and that advantage is like Adam dies and he still
Yeah, I
pulls
mean, like
through and saves
even
our asses at the end.
in death, you know, he's there helping protect you guys, and that was so big. This thing that no one talking about so much was like, this guy wants to keep them safe. This guy wants to protect them. He may not necessarily, you know, like the stuff they're doing with the magic and the cult, but like he cares about them. He wants to protect them, and he got to do that even in death. And that was, you know, I thought that was really important.
I don't know how much you can speak to this.
Mhm.
I'm really interested in Dr. Harding and like
Yeah,
the the other gods. Like I don't know how much you like how much lore there was for this because, you know, obviously like it's good to leave some things open. Like I totally understand that. I don't know if you like had anything else prepped if we like discovered something specific or asked something specific. Like I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of potential lore there, and knowing you, I feel like you would definitely prepare some like some crazy like, yeah, they battled 1,000 years ago, and there was about I don't know if there's anything like that. Like I don't know.
no, absolutely. So the in the last episode, when Jonah dies and he's got the ring on, given you know he got from Harding when Harding passed, and um, it's this ethereal woman who calls herself Nilithris, like the creator of the universe, and that lore of her and these other gods, and I don't remember who said it, but somebody says that uh, the one is the child of Exaxathar. These are all these like eldritch gods that I had built for this anthology series that I was writing, and I had this lore about, you know, Nilithris, and she was like the first being in the universe, and then Exaxathar came from her, and they were like these two pure beings, but something happened to him, and you know he ended up becoming evil, and you know very classic good versus evil thing, and he was banished, and like these tumors of him grew, and that's where these like evil eldritch gods like fell off of him and flew to different parts of, you know, different multiverses and
Mm.
stuff to, you know, spread his darkness, and very convoluted, very long thing, and but I wanted to
I get
kind
to
of
read
like
it.
drop it in that because when slash if we do a follow up to this, and this is part of one of the questions was like, you know, are there any ideas for a follow up to this season? Is that we'd be doing like a pulp Cthulhu series, and it would be more like Indiana Jones, but with this underlying mystery, and it'd be exploring kind of like these gods on Earth and these ancient civilizations that worship them that were lost to time. And Harding was cool because I wanted him to kind of be like, you know, there's something more out there than just the one. Like, you know, we went from being on this train to now there's this god that came to this universe, and that seems big, but then there's something even bigger than that. You know, just kind of like that's also another thing with Lovecraft is like humans are so small and so, you know, insignificant compared to these eldritch gods, and like, oh, we think the one is big, but there's something out there that's even more evil than him, like his father is like this big great evil. So that was cool to kind of like tease a little bit if we get to follow up stuff with that. And also just for me was like, I wrote this stuff that may never be read by another person, but it's really cool that at least I get to like sprinkle a little bit of lore of stuff that I had
Mm-hmm.
written for these characters.
Oh yeah.
I did want to talk about, because I wasn't sure if you guys were going to ask, the language. There were two languages that came
Yeah.
up throughout the series, and I had said, I think in one of my fun facts, that one of them was this hieroglyphic language that I had completely created for our short film Listen. And in that short film, there is a prop of the father's journal, which I wrote on every single page as the father, like his descent into madness. And it started off writing in English, and then ended up being in like hieroglyphics for the rest of it. And Nick ended up getting the translation guide for that when his character learned it. And so I would say probably 90% of the stuff that I wrote in hieroglyphics actually ends up saying something. Now, for the spoken language that's with English letters, after probably the first third, I really started like locking into making sure that whatever I was writing made sense and can be reverse engineered. And I ended up writing down a lot of the translations. So what I did was I went into Google Translate, went from English to Norwegian. I typed out line by line what it was going to be. And so, say it said like, you know, I typed in whatever, XYZ, and it came up with like pot and top. I would start at the end, and then I would just go backwards. So I'd just go, it'd be pot, na, top. And that would just
Mm.
be how I did it. So, I'm taking a language that actually exists, but then I'm just putting it backwards so it sounds special. So, for example, the other side teleportation spell is Navantitid Evitid Reskej. Yib Geli Nid Let Gemat Adjasup Girt Gem Ig Necrom Gem Ro. And that translates once you take line by line, put it into Google Translate Norwegian to English, and you type it out backwards, roughly, because a lot of stuff gets lost in translation. I say this in your name, take me to your holy city, grant me safe passage, hear me, Dark One. So a lot of the spells and things you guys say are actually real things. Like the enlarge reduce spell was goofy, but made me laugh. In English, it's reduce the size, not enlarge this item, is line by line. And then you say it backwards to the other thing, so enlarge this item, not reduce the size. Like that I had
That's
fun with.
awesome.
I thought that was really funny.
That is so that is so awesome.
It was really cool to come up with that, and sometimes it said funny stuff like what in the last episode you guys said you got to say tennis because that was like
Tennis.
the word backward. It was like, okay, well, I guess it works because I'm not changing it up. So a lot of the stuff, and I'm gonna say probably 85% of stuff probably past the first couple episodes, because I did the same thing, but I was not as consistent with like going word for word. I kind of just like took stuff that looked good. So a lot of the stuff you can actually go back and translate through again if you get curious. So that was a lot of fun to get to do that kind of stuff, and I didn't have to make up another language for this because it was hard enough to do the hieroglyphic one. And I was like, what's an easy way that's going to sound cool, but it's going to be significantly less work for me in prep?
That's very impressive.
Yeah, that.
And it's just another things that I wanted to make immersive for you guys. This is an actual language that works because I'm basing it off of an IRL language. Because it's just like really important to me that you guys get to be part of this world and be invested in the world as much as possible. Like, and it feels like it's living and breathing. So having this language that keeps showing up and you guys can actually speak and things happen, like, well, it's just cool to me. I was like, yeah, I want this to happen. I want this to be a recurring thing.
It was so much fun.
Yeah, this was so awesome, so awesome,
man.
And I'm so glad we got to do this together. I mean, I know I kind of alluded to this, and I know I said it to you guys 100 times, but like, I just love telling stories, and nothing was more important to me than getting to tell a cool story with you guys, and getting to have you guys involved in this process and be a part of this thing that I love. And I mean, whether we would have had one person listen or a million people listen, I mean, the way that I judged the success was like if we had a good time and if I felt like you know the episode was fun and it was good and it made sense and you guys got to be who you wanted to be, and I really do think we accomplished that.
We did.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Okay, favorite episode art and favorite episode title.
The name is easy for me. Speakeasy and Carry of the Gun.
I remember when you said the name of it, I was like, oh shit.
That's Arctic. That's Antarctic.
That's Antarctic.
That's Arctic. Yeah.
I love Bookworm's Adventure. That cracked me up
so,
when you dropped
obscure.
that.
And the fact that I get to do that in front of you guys in person was so funny too.
Bookworm's Adventure was great.
Yeah.
Because you guys just got done fighting Kirk, and there's all the tentacles, and he's eating people, and it's like Bookworm's Adventure is the next episode.
I honestly, I liked Chapel Rome. That one was also
solid.
up there.
That was good.
Favorite episode art? I mean, they really are all so fun.
Yeah.
The Faces of a Stranger art is good.
That's
chapter
one of
4.
my favorites.
That's
Kirk
good.
with the tentacles coming
Chapel
out.
Rome
That one is
as well.
solid, man.
I was proud of that one.
That one's.
I do too. I think that was kind of where I started like getting into the like really positive, negative,
Yeah.
like space.
There's like a progression here that
now
gets
I'm looking
like,
through them all again.
really good.
Like, yeah.
I think that we are all talented people and have a lot to give to this world, even if it's just doing like a funny podcast where we're playing Dungeons and Dragons or Call of Cthulhu. Like, it may seem insignificant, but like to me it means a lot. This really has been like my saving grace the last however many months we've been doing it, and I'm happy to put in as much work as I want. whereas I need to make sure it feels good. And so, it was cool. It was really cool to get to, do the episode art and feeling like, even though like we're, a small podcast and, like I said, we don't measure our success based off analytics, but like even though we're smaller, like I pretended like this was a podcast that got 1 billion weekly listens and we're gonna go on tour. Like I really wanted to give it the same effort as I would give anything else. And I think that's just another thing that, really shows why we got to be successful is because we all just gave it our all.
Oh, for sure. And like I love these games so much, and to be able to like fully express myself in them and try as hard as I want to, and everyone else I'm playing with is like in a similar headspace with, well, I want to have fun and I want to make this great. Was very fulfilling. Super, super fulfilling. Because like you play games with people who aren't as like invested as you are, and it's kind of like, well, I can't really tell people to get more invested in a board game. But this has just been so much fun.
And I think what also was really special about making this a podcast is I got to share it with people that wouldn't necessarily want to do this. Like my parents would never really be interested in playing like a tabletop role play game and doing this kind of stuff. And I'm so into it. And that's what my friends are into. And so I got to share this with them. And that was really cool. It's like this is the kind of thing that I'm putting effort into. Like, you say I get excited about this. This is why, because it's cool like this. And then we get to have people that have similar interests to get into it. Really got to throw this out there. And, as silly as it might sound, like we did at the end of the day make art. We sat down, we wrote, we edited, we recorded stuff, we added music, we added sound effects. Like we, for the last couple months, have been making art and giving it to the world. And I think that's cool that four dudes in their early 20s across, the US all doing different things. Like we got to come together and make art and, you know, give it out to people.
Okay, top 3 for me, because I can't pick one, is the very first episode. That, I think, as soon as you sent that to me, I was like, okay, this is cool.
And I wasn't actually good. I was only going to keep that as the episode art for the whole season. And then just on a whim, I decided to start making episode art for each episode.
Hell yeah. I mean, I'm glad you did, because
Yeah.
all of these are
I'm glad I
awesome.
did. Yeah.
Um, Chapter 3, Speakeasy and Carry a Big Gun. I really like that.
I like that one.
It's the first one where, you like look at it and it's like, what? What is that? What? I want to know more.
hmm
Yeah.
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 It's like very distinct to our specific like story. Like that
Yeah.
symbol, like that is our story.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. And then 3 is probably chapter 13. Hello from the Other Side. All the spires and the lightning, and it, this is like when we're on the when we're in the other side. It's so like atmospheric, and like you scroll and you look through all of them, and it's like that's a cool creature, everything, and then it's like, oh, where is this? Like, what is happening right now?
Everything that had been built up, like the whole game, just was like, you're here now, and this is what it is.
I think my 3 favorite might be, just to be different too. Chapter 7, he's a demon, he's a devil, he's a doll, part 1. Uh, Getting to do like the art of Vazatzarul was just like really cool. Really made it 3D. Like obviously chapter 3, we do, some 3D stuff, but even though it's obviously a flat image, I felt like there was some depth to it. And you can feel like, oh yeah, this has got a thick snake neck, and the skull just turned out
Yeah.
really cool too.
At a first
And
glance,
then,
too,
Yeah, that
you
one is
can't
really cool.
see from far away, but there's like the text that's faded into the background and everything.
yeah, you have to like blow it up, but there's actually like hieroglyphics in the
Oh,
back.
holy shit! I didn't
Yeah.
know that. That's awesome.
And then Chapel Rome, I think it was the first time that I was just like, I should really play with like positive and negative space. And it was cool to do just like the silhouette of his glass, or the like emptiness of his glasses, because that was the first time I ever described him to you guys. And then the hole in his chest with the spine, which was such a good suggestion to put the spine in there, because before it was just a hole in the chest, and then Noah was like, he needs something in there to show that he's, got a hole in him. And the spine was like such a perfect touch. Perfect touch. And then honestly, as simple as it is, I think 15. Uh, that might be like one of our simplest pieces of art, but when I was making that, I was like, this really feels like impactful and like a wrap up to the story. And
Yeah.
if you're following along, Adam's gone, but he's not necessarily dead. But maybe they're burying him. We've got multiple other characters that are coming back from their side. Like, was in my mind, I was like, I want to show honor for Jonah, but I also want it to be kind of like, who doesn't make it out.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, even the detail in the first one too.
Matthew put so much effort into everything.
Into
Like,
everything.
you didn't have to make different art for every episode.
And
you didn't
everything.
have to like try to like even thinking you could have just made it chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Like there, even that little bit extra effort to like have it be something cool, like name it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's inspiring.
Not to get like too emotional, but like, this is my passion and I love it, and I love you guys. Like, it's we've all known each other for so long, and you guys are like brothers to me. We talk about it all the time, but like, I wanted to show that same level of love and dedication to this and to you guys, and really show like, look at what we can do. Like, we did this. Like, okay, I made the art and I wrote the stuff, but like, this is all of us. Like, at the end of the day, these 15 episodes, these hours upon hours of content, like, this is all of us. We came together to do this, and I wouldn't change a thing. I'm so proud of it. And it's also cool. This is just the first campaign. Like, we're gonna learn so much from doing this one time. Tip of the iceberg. And I'm just so proud of us. Like, seriously.
Me too. I'm proud of us.
Definitely. Yeah. We all did just so amazing. Bringing these characters to life, and just the amount of effort and immersion and all of it from everyone was like, I wouldn't ask for anything else. This was amazing.
Yeah, this is great.
This is the best way for me to spend 4 hours every other Monday for the last over half a year.
Yep.
Okay, I do like on episode 8 the little rats on the lettering, because it's the episode where the rats by Adam. I think that's fun. I forgot that I did that.
I didn't
wow.
notice that.
What? Dude, there's like, what the hell, Matthew? There's Easter eggs,
That's
fun
awesome.
Easter eggs in all of these.
Okay, well, speaking of Easter eggs, that's me as the silhouette in chapter 10.
Yep.
That's me as the silhouette in chapter 4. And that's Homelander in chapter 14. Because I cannot free draw stuff to save my life, so I had to take pictures of myself, or I took that picture of Homelander using his laser eyes and yelling for 14 to get like the the perspective I wanted.
That's great. Yeah, the people in the train in the first one
literally look like some of us.
Which is crazy, because I drew that before you guys had fully made your characters. That was just based off of what I was going to write for the first episode.
I'm gonna be real. The one on the far left, that's the DM, looks a lot like a profile view
with
of you,
my
Matthew.
horrible posture too. Good lord, someone get that guy a neck brace. Fun fact: I actually ended writing our first session 2 hours before we played that night. So I was like, dude, I was so nervous. I'd never run Call of Cthulhu before. This is my first time running Call of Cthulhu. I'd only played when we played the one shot with Xander. I like learned the rules, wrote it all, and then I was like,
Yeah.
okay, here we go. Like, here goes nothing. This might fall on his face, but I'm excited. Well, I wanted to finish up. We got a really nice comment. You guys, I sent you guys that long message we had gotten a couple months ago, but this came in with our Q&A and just said, I want to say that I'm so proud of you all, the hard work you put into this podcast, and your incredible storytelling skills. It's been so enjoyable to listen to each episode, and I'm always on the edge of my seat. A shout out to all the hard work, the incredible world building, and creative campaign design.
Aw, that's awesome.
And then this final question on this forum is, can we get a tease of what the next campaign has in store? So I'll leave that as like my little teaser. I would like to hope that So the plan is we're gonna play D&D next. I would love to record it. We're still in the talks of doing that, but it would be a change because we don't want to just sit and play Call of Cthulhu back to back to back and then like hit our heads against the wall because we get sick of the system. So we're gonna switch things up. But at the very least, we're gonna play Dungeons and Dragons next, set in a homebrew world that I've been building, and I am completely obsessed. And I wish that I had more time in the world to write because I can't wait to get started on it again. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this special episode and for all of Season 1 of Tales the Other Side. One last time, my name is Matthew, and I've been the Keeper.
I'm Nathan, and I played Jonah Thorogood.
I'm Nick, and I have been Archibald Bauer.
I'm Noah, and I am Adam Whitlock. I'll tell you what the next season's going to be. Adam comes back through a portal from hell with a shotgun and a chainsaw and kills everybody.
And he goes, on your left. And then heavy metal starts. And you go to hell.
Yes.
You go from the other side to Earth, to hell, kill all the demons, come back, and then you get back to the point where right before Juno left and you said, hey,
and then she
I'm
goes,
okay.
That's for scaring me, and then kisses me, and it's like, oh, that, and that's for coming back.
And then it fades to black as the credits roll, and then over a black screen and white text, it just says, Adam Whitlock will return in Tales the Other Side Endgame.
Warren Proctor.
It says that on the audio podcast.
It says that.
Warren Proctor will return. It's just got like some guy's feet, and you like hear like these like echoing steps, and the camera's just following and then it like pans up, and it's him with his hands behind his back, and there's like a council of Warrens, and he's like,
the Council of Proctor.
we will get our revenge on the
Council
one
of
that
Proctor.
Adam, Archibald, and Jonah. But first, and he looks up, and he's the one with the hole blown in his chest. I've got some business to attend to. Boom.
Warren 414 has failed us.
Warren.
He must be replaced.
This is the post-credit scene of the bonus episode, by the way. Absolutely, our pitches.